Darren, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Good to see you.
How are you, my man?
Not too bad.
Good.
So,
Nice to see
little
you.
introduction. Tell us who you are.
Darren Manning. A job centre football manager at the moment. But, ex-Grays manager, Holbridge manager, Basel manager. Just football person, really, I suppose.
Perfect. So, I'm going to start because obviously we know each other from Grays.
Yep.
So Grays, even though it's no more,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start in the question on the Grays is sort of what's the first thing that really does honestly come to mind as a little opener when you hear Grays Athletic?
My club.
That's it.
Simple as that. It's just my club. Always has been, always will be. That's the only thing I can really say. It's the first thing that comes to my head when I hear the name of it.
Perfect. So let's go back. So, how long have you been in football management for?
Must be coming up around 10 years now. Coming up around 10 years from when I first started out doing Holbridge reserves. I'm terrible with dates, absolutely terrible. My missus on to me all the time. I forget birthdays and all sorts. I'm terrible with dates, but Holbridge reserves where it started. Yeah, must be 8, 9, 10 years ago now. So a fair old while. Never really played a good level, to be fair. Never played, only Olympian standard, and then got into coaching quite young, and then it all went from there.
So, what got you into coaching? Just the fact that you wanted to be involved at a higher level, and
So it's weird because when I was younger, and like my friends and my parents know, I said that I always wanted to manage more than I ever did play. I love football, love playing football, love that, but I always said, and my mum reminded of it recently when I said to her that I never once said to her I'm going to play for Grays. It was always I'm going to manage Grays. So I've always wanted to do that side of the game. I've always thought about the game more than I've ever actually done the game, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And like studied the game and analysed it more than I've actually played it. And I've stopped playing fairly early, to be honest, to get into coaching, and played the odd Sunday game since, but never really looked back.
So you would say that you always believed in yourself that you would always be a manager one day of a
Yeah, I
team?
always would do it, whether it was a Sunday team or at the level I've managed to get to. Who knew? But I always wanted to, and I always would have, and I'd always helped out on the Sundays in my Sunday teams and stuff like that. And even then, when we went to Saturdays, helped get players and do that side of the game quite early on in my time in the senior level of football.
So, did you start off as a coach and then move more into the management of the team, or did you just jump straight in?
Straight to management, really. So it all happened. I was at Herongate in the Olympian League, and their reserve team manager stepped away and stopped. Phil, I think his name was, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll have a go at that," and then agreed to do that. But I never actually managed a game for him because at that time, a good friend of mine from school, Rob Hodgson, took the Holbridge job. Then he offered me and James, my best friend and my assistant at the time, offered us the Holbridge reserve manager's job. So although I accepted the job at Herringate, I never actually managed a game for him or done anything for him, because about 2 weeks later I said, "Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of a better offer here," and went to Holbridge, who at the time were in the Essex Senior League. And then took their reserve team, which was
Sam Allardyce.
yeah, exactly that. Yeah, didn't even take a training session or anything. It wasn't very long at all. So after playing for them and doing a bit on a Sunday and stuff, and then got offered the reserve team manager job at Herringate, and then quickly after my friend got the Holbridge job, we kind of jumped ship and went into Holbridge, and then that's how that whole Holbridge story started, really, from the reserves.
And you just moved up when the opportunity became? Or?
Yeah, so in the reserves, done really well. We got ourselves to a cup final, got I think second or third in the league, and managed to produce some good players for the first team. And where Rob and Aaron at the time were doing a really good job in their first job in management. Both gone on to do good things since then. And then we played Grays in a friendly. But this was just as they turned to supporter owned. And Jamie Stewart took the job. And obviously I then got talking to Jamie, which was a bit surreal for me at the time after watching him for so many years. He then mentioned about me going in as his assistant. So when Grays were in the Isthmian Prem playing at Millfield, in that really tough season when we got relegated, Jamie actually brought me in as his assistant halfway through. So I left the reserve side. After a year and a bit, I then was helping Rob in the first team. and I then moved from just being a coach in the first team at Holbridge to to be Jamie's assistant. So then that happened. I was there for probably a year under Jamie as assistant, and then from there Rob decided to move on from Holbridge, and they gave me the call to go back as manager.
Oh, fantastic. So was there a sort of an early experience that sort of directed you or shaped you to the kind of manager you wanted to be?
Yeah, there was, and it's probably not a good one on Jamie looking back, but we played Hertford Town in the FA Trophy away, and I think we was losing 2-0 at half time, and he absolutely lost it. There was stuff going flying in the changing rooms. It was absolute carnage. And then as he walked out, I then tried to calm everyone down and try and go through a few bits that can get us back in the game, and he stormed back in and said, "They don't deserve your time, Dale. Don't give many your time," and all this, and then it was at that point where I went, yeah, that's the manager I'm not going to become, and stuff like that. So yeah, I learned so much from Jamie, whether it's stuff to do or stuff not to do. I can't thank him enough really for the time I spent with him. The main thing I took from him was just his winning mentality. That man would do anything to win a game of football. And when I say anything, I mean anything to win a game of football. He was so driven to win, and it didn't matter how you won, you just find a way to win, and that's where I took that into the Holbridge job, and the boys that know me from Holbridge will always say that my last words will always just find a way to win. And I took that from Jamie and his desire and mentality to win games of football.
So Jamie, would you say was your biggest sort of role model, or sort of at that point, or was there anyone else?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's role model
or influence, shall I say?
Yeah, so obviously growing up, it was obviously being a Newcastle fan. Just Bobby Robson was just God, and always will be. But in more realistic terms, it was probably Stimo. If I'm being honest, obviously following Grays up and down the country for many years in those good old days when he was just whatever he touched turned to gold. That's probably what I looked at and thought, "Cool, you're a proper football manager," and then what you're doing at a club I love and stuff like that. So it's probably two contrasts really. We talk Bobby Robson and then Stimo, but then from working with from the management side of things, Jamie, for good or bad, whether it's to follow him in doing stuff that he did or to learn from stuff that he did to not do, would be a big one. But coaching wise, it's probably Charlie McDonald. Okay. From a small spell I spent with him at Barking, he was just a phenomenal coach, and one that I'd still love to talk to now, and as he's over in Dubai now, so fingers crossed he's all okay with everything going on over there at the moment. But he's a phenomenal coach and just a great football person, and I went in with him for a very short spell before I went into Basildon, but I learnt so much in that short space of time on coaching and how to coach and get the best out of players. Cool.
And what was the experience like at Basildon? Was that short,
Brilliant.
long?
Brilliant. It was two and a bit years, probably about the same time as I spent at Grays, maybe a bit longer. Probably a bit shorter actually. It was brilliant. Lee Connor was amazing, absolutely amazing, and he gets not so much as much now, but he had a lot of stick up until that point, and he was just a man of his word, and that's all I ever asked. And he was amazing. And the time we had together at Basel was brilliant. We went from, I think, second or third bottom. We stayed up, and then we went to when we was third, I think, when I left, and he had a real good shout at the playoffs, and he was a huge part of that, and he tried to do everything he possibly could for me and Cal at that time within the really, really limited resources that he had. But it was just, we just had a different mentality back then, and in the type of club Basildon is, it was a real siege mentality that everything was against us, and then we just went out fighting every week and was punching well above our weight, and yeah, really, really good times.
And so you mentioned his name there, who's subsequently missing from the podcast. Yeah. What point in all this did you meet Cal on, and how did that come about?
So my assistant at Holbridge, when we won the league, was James Wakely, my best friend, and he went on to be a manager at Southend Manor, and Callum was his assistant or one of his coaches or something like that. So then when me and James went into Basildon initially as joint managers, Callum come in on the staff there, but then James stepped away for many different reasons, and then Callum just become my assistant, and it just clicked and stuck, and then ever since he's been my right hand man, and in my opinion hopefully will be for wherever we go next.
He's like the Ant and Dec of Tilbury.
Yeah. Don't know which way round it is.
I'm not saying there's a lot more but worse references.
There is a lot worse we could have gone into there.
And do you think sort of those experiences, was anything there that really stood out that you think got you ready for that move to Grays at all?
It was a difficult one because we were third in the league, but I always felt the bubble would burst. It was just a case of when, not if, in my opinion. Do I think we would have got the playoffs? I don't know. Because we was getting the absolute maximum out of that group of players every single week, and there's only so long you can do that for at this level. So I don't know whether that bubble would ever burst, but it was a case of we kind of, for me, it was a case of when I come out of Holbridge, when we was in the North, and then it was a case of I really wanted to re-establish myself as an Ishmael North manager, not just be known for winning the senior league, but I wanted to be known to be a real fundamental manager for the level of football we was at in the North, and a recognised name to manage a team in the North. And I felt we kind of did that at Basildon. We kind of proved, for me, it was I had a bit of a point to prove at that level at the time. So when we had that success with the resources we had and stuff, it was then a case of, right, now I've proved my point. And then when your club comes knocking, Lee knew it was the only club I was ever leaving for at that time. I would never have left for any other club at that time, because there was a few whispers about other teams and stuff, but Lee knew I was going nowhere. It was only ever Grays that I would have gone to, and it happened. So whether that's, looking back, good thing, bad thing, who knows? Because you can never know what was going to happen the rest of that season, whether we would have got the playoffs or would have got anywhere with that Basildon group. But everything happens for a reason.
No, exactly. So what did it mean to you personally, Darren, to manage Grays?
Getting that deep that early.
Straight, fuck it, let's go in.
Everything really at the time, because it was funny though, because when I rang my mum and dad to say that it was like it was all done, she said she'd never forget when I was that young kid saying to her, I'm going to manage this club one day, and she was like, as the supportive parent, I went, yeah, you will, but deep down thinking you've not got a chance in hell, boy. And then to say that I've done it for over 100 games, 2.5 years, is something that loads of people that stand in them terraces would love to say they've been able to do, and for me to say that I've done it, it kind of ticks all the boxes that I got into football for. So it was one where it was a moment of, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a moment of like, I got there. Like all the hard work for going through the levels and all the learning and all the stuff you do on the way and the hard work to get there, you kind of get there. But then that's only the start. When you get there, it's then leaving a mark and doing the best you possibly can. And I can really look back now with real content and pride in what we did and what we done while we was there. And I wouldn't change. Well, a couple of things I might change, but we wouldn't change the whole experience to say that I've done it for anything.
That's good, mate. Good, powerful. And I think what you said to me was stick with me for a long time, and it's a saying I'll probably still is, don't be sad it's over, just be pleased it happened.
Yeah, and that's the way I'm like that with loads of different things. Like even in personal life, when me and the missus on holiday, she's like, oh, should we extend for 2 or 3 nights? I'm like, don't be sad it's over, just be happy that we've had this opportunity, that we've come out here and we've had this holiday and stuff. And I say it with loads of different stuff, but I think this is the bit that really resonates, that it's, I'm just proud and really happy that I got the chance to lead the club I love, and I'll forever be grateful for that.
Oh, perfect. So when you actually went in, what was the initial vision of it all? What did you want to achieve?
The initial remit was 2 things. It was stay up, because they hadn't won a game. I think there was 15 games in, they hadn't won a single game of football all season, including pre-season. So there was 20 odd games without a win. And the second thing was try and sort the finances out, because the money that the club was hemorrhaging on players was through the roof. So it's very difficult when you're a manager and you've got to go in and you've got to try and uplift in results, but also cut the budget quite considerably. It's very, very difficult, and there's one moment, and he will forever ever have my respect is Charlie Stimpson. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you've got to think on the Wednesday night, I'm taking the game after taking his dad's job, in a way. I've replaced his dad as manager, and then the Thursday morning I ring him to say, sorry Chaz, I've got to cut your money by a considerable amount. And he was the most professional person I've ever worked with. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't happy about it, but he cracked on and he gave me absolutely everything for the rest of that season. And I can't speak highly enough, and that's why we tried so hard to bring him back just before I left, because he was the type of character that we knew we needed at that time, and that just sums up kind of what we had to do. We had some really good players at the club that we wanted to keep, but obviously in football money talks. So when we're asking people to take considerable pay cuts, they're going to move on, and then we had to identify some targets that we managed to get that were a lot cheaper, and we managed to comfortably stay in the division. So that first year the remit was met comfortably, in my opinion, but the hard bit was going in and that financial change, because it's, although Grays isn't a huge budget, it's by far the biggest one I've ever worked with.
Okay.
When you think that Holbridge, we didn't have one. Simple as that, we didn't have one. When we won the league, we didn't have a budget at all. And then Basildon was probably probably about half what Grays is. So then to go in, it's still a considerable amount, but then when you get the pay sheet and you see what we're kind of hemorrhaging on certain players and so on, we had to make decisions quite quick to get Glyn Jarvis off my back, really, and get Glyn smiling again, which I think we did quite well.
So what did you feel, other than what you've mentioned already, other than that, what did you feel the club really needed when you come in? Obviously, we know we needed the win, needed to sort out the finances, but...
So the team needed to learn how to win again, and the club as a whole just needed to believe they were going to win again. Because I feel that when you're going through a spell of 20-odd games, including pre-season ones, that you've not won a single game for, subconsciously, you probably go as a fan thinking you're not going to win. And you're going to go and think, oh, can we keep it respectable? Can we do... You know what I mean? You're so... Subconsciously, you think that negatively. So it was kind of... We just wanted to give them a bit... We just need to give a bit of a shot in the arm to get the encouragement back and the enthusiasm back for the football, and that we was a team there that can compete, and that we're going to win games, and we're going to go on a run, and that's kind of what we did. And it was hard. It was really hard, because when you go in as a manager and the group of players haven't won all season, you see it's really hard to really boost their confidence. So there's not much you can really do tactically at that time, because they're so down on confidence that whatever you try to do, they won't be able to do or anything, because confidence is such a huge part of football. So it was a case of just trying to put arms around shoulders and really lift the spirits of everyone involved in the club, really, which it was difficult, but I think we achieved it.
How many games did it take you to get the first win?
First night.
Night?
Yeah, so we beat Athletic Newham. I think it was 4-3 in the end, something ridiculous. But they did have Richard Kone playing, who's now obviously at QPR and doing what he's doing. And then the Saturday we went to Stowmarket, beat them. And then the following Saturday we beat Enfield. So we won the first three. But when you look at it, they were really crucial games, because Stowmarket were down there, Enfield were down there. So they were games we kind of had to win. And we won those. And that was a kind of what we needed at that time. So it didn't really matter who we played. We just had to win a couple of games, and then we could settle into a bit of a rhythm and start getting our philosophy over.
What is your philosophy?
Now that's the $1 million question in football. For me, I'm one of them big believers. There's no right or wrong way to play the game. My philosophy is to try and win, however that may be, just to try and win. I think you can get too caught up on ways of playing and styles of play. I have a preferred way I want to play, and I want to play football, play out, play all the nice football as you might think, and that's when I've had my most success and doing that. But when you've last two jobs have been at Basildon and at Tilbury, you can't really do that. So we've had to find different ways to win games of football, which has been challenging at times, because it's a kind of, I've had to go between my head and my heart and how we want to play and how we want to do things. And when you look back to last season and that little blip we had over Christmas, that if we managed to just do that a bit differently, we probably would have ended up in the playoffs. And the form we was in towards the end of the season, we would have won the playoffs, because there was no one beating us.
No, best team in the league by a long stretch, and then last.
With no one was getting near us. It was we was just playing as well as we had to win games at that point. So, and that's one where I always look back with a little bit of, should we have done something a bit different to get those extra 9 points that we needed for the playoffs. But back to philosophy, I think philosophy is such a clouded word, because you could have the best philosophy in the world until you lose. And then as a manager, you overthink everything. As soon as you lose one game, you start doubting yourself and doubting what's gone on. So for me, philosophy is to just try and win a game of football. My main philosophy is lots and lots of homework on players you're coming up against, on teams you're coming up against, so you can be the best prepared you can be. Comment I always say is, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So I always do my homework. I always do a lot of detail in what we're coming up against and how we want to combat that, and then try and provide the players with as much detail as possible, as early as possible. So it's not a rushed thing on a match day. It's between the Thursday and the Saturday, they get the detail gradually between the Thursday and the Saturday.
Yeah. Can you remember that first dressing room team talk before the boys went out? That first. Yep. What was that like?
I said, I'm here to try and help you learn how to win. I said, because it's hard when you've not won for so long, you can forget how to win. I said, I'm in a fortunate position. I've come from a club that we was winning. So hopefully we can try and put a bit of that magic dust onto you guys, and just to go and play with real freedom. Just go and play with real freedom. I remember saying to them, tactically, I have nothing to say. Just work hard and go and enjoy yourself. Yes. We really tried to take the pressure off, because you know what it's like when you've not won a game for so long, the pressure really gets on you, especially when you're at a club like Grays that has got eyes on it and fingers typing and mouth shouting. It can get on top of you. I've always said it takes a certain character to be able to play for Grays. I liken it to what Sir Alex Ferguson used to say about Man United. You have to be a certain character to play for Man United, because of the expectation. Grays is similar, a very smaller extent, but Grays is similar because of its history and because of where it was and what it used to be. There's still some of that lingering around, by the generation of fans that we've got. So you have to be able to shoulder that expectation and have to shoulder. So I've always said that the fans don't care what happens during the week or what's happened during the month. They expect you to win. Yeah. Every time you put a grey shirt on, you're expected to win. It's as simple as that. And when you don't, people talk. But that's what happens when you play for a club with a fan base. Where I've been at clubs previously, Basildon, 10, 15 people in the corner, it doesn't really make much noise and doesn't really do anything. But then when you're playing for a club of Grays' stature and you've got hundreds in the crowd and following you even to away games, and you've got near 1,000 people on a group on the social media, people talk and people have opinions, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. So it takes a special character. You have to be able to have broad shoulders to play for Grays and shoulder expectation.
That's really interesting and spot on, really, from my perspective. So just sticking with that first night, get the first win, and as you said, you went on a little run. Was there a point where you and Cal looked at each other and thought, this is starting to come together, we can do this?
There was a point about a month in, I turned to Cal and said, do you reckon we can get the playoffs? And it was never realistic. No, we knew everything comes with and with consistency, in my opinion. So success comes with consistency, and that's why you look. Two things at this level: success comes with either huge investment or consistency. So when you look at certain teams in the division this year at the top end, you look Felixstowe, near on the same group of players for 3 or 4 years. Malden, huge investment. Waltham Abbey, the consistent group of players for a long period of time. And then it's no surprise to me teams like Galston and Wroxham, because they've had consistent groups together. So we knew it was going to take time. You don't build a winning machine overnight unless you've got more than money. You don't build a winning machine overnight unless you've got that. So we knew it would take time to get to the level we needed to get to, and so we knew it weren't going to happen in that first season. And the second season, we feel we got it right in terms of recruitment. It just didn't start well enough. In the first month, wasn't great, and then we had a good run, and then the 2 months over Christmas was poor. So apart from those 3 months, I felt we got it spot on. But unfortunately, when you're at that level of football, those 3 months can cost you. So it was a case of I knew we had a really special group last year. I knew we had a really special group, and it was the second half away at Malden when I really knew it clicked, because we absolutely battered them, just couldn't score a second goal and drew 1-1. And it was that second half when I said to Cal, we're going to go on a run now. You could just feel it was going to happen. We was going to go on a run, and that's exactly. We didn't lose a game the rest of the season from that point on. So I think the last 13, 14 games we won 12, drew 2, something crazy like that.
Ridiculous, wasn't it?
And the second draw was only because we made a promise ourselves that we weren't going to let Tilbury get in the playoffs, and they had to beat us to get in the playoffs. So we said we weren't losing today, no matter what. We didn't even really try to win the game. If I'm being really honest, we just tried. We just said we're not losing, and stuck to that. So, but yeah, that was the point. Really, I felt we really got it clicked. Was Malden away in the second half and that also you going back to philosophy and beliefs. That was time at half time. We changed from a 3 at the back to what we started in pre-season with, and it just clicked again. It was like the boys just realised what they needed to do again. And that goes back to when you say about philosophies and stuff. When you're not winning games, you tweak stuff, you try to change stuff to get a reaction, but sometimes you're best just sticking with what you know and what you do best. And that is one thing I've learned.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mention that game, because I think that game in particular was the clicking point for me and Arthur, I think, where I realised he loved it. Obviously, I originally come in to do a little bit of work and stuff, and just fell in love with everybody and the whole club. Balls deep now.
Yeah, you ain't getting out, mate.
Chairman of youth and all that, so I don't know how that happened, but I in all seriousness, you don't mind. But that was the turning point. And there was a moment when it was they called him Hagrid, did it? And Si.
Yeah.
And Arthur plonked himself. Didn't know either of them. Plonked himself in the middle of them. They both looked down, just looked at him, took no notice. They included him, and the atmosphere.
On the drum?
The drum was there. I think he might have had a go, but he wasn't really doing it as such. But he was in the middle. He didn't stop, and it's the first time ever Arthur has done 90 minutes of concentrating on football. And for context of anyone that doesn't know who Arthur is, he's a typical 9-year-old that can't sit still for 5 minutes.
He's already running around with football somewhere, isn't he?
So that was really a special moment for me as his dad. And then West Ham, funny enough, played Newcastle, and we had season tickets to West Ham on the Monday night following that game. And halfway through, or just into the second half, he put his head on my shoulder, nestled in, and went, ain't Grays, is it, Dad?
See, and that's what I mean.
And that was the end of our West Ham season tickets.
Yeah. It's crazy when they get the bug, because that just reminds me of me when I was younger. So that's why I can resonate with it, because that was me when I was younger. And it's just, yeah, when you get the bug, you get it, and you can't ever shake it. So you've got a life of it now, mate, trust me.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, when we moved these, because obviously we was at a different club, and we moved his youth team over to Grays, and when he found out, because in his world, what, I'm playing for Grays? I said, yeah, and he wears that badge, and even now he wears it with pure pride, every Saturday, every Sunday, and recently over in Spain, he was telling the organiser, he's even convinced the organiser's son, who's only ever lived in Spain, and we're sending him a grey shirt. So Arthur, and that is all down to Arthur.
He's done his job then. He's done his job.
It's all down to Arthur. So just moving on really, just to more life as a non-league manager. It's obviously a lot of hard work, but how demanding is a role of being a manager from a day-to-day perspective?
Very, and you often get the comments from the other half saying, "You're on your phone again. You're on your phone again." I try to put a rule in that Sundays is the no football day. It's very rare it happens because there's the odd message and stuff here, but it's very demanding because you have to think it's a Tuesday and a Thursday, whether it's a game on a Tuesday and then training on a Thursday. That's what people think it is, but it's not. It's the all day, every day, either trying to sign a player, speaking to players, trying to have conversations with players, talking to your staff. What's the plan for the next game? What's the plan for training? Who are we looking at? Where do we need to improve? There's always something to be speaking about, always, and it's not. I don't even say it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. Being a non-league manager is a lifestyle. It's not a job or anything like that. It is a way of life, and you have to. And I'm sure we'll get to it, but and there was something that happened, which is why I'm not a Grays anymore. Is part of that. If I'm being completely honest, there was a moment that happened that made me really realise stuff that I needed to have a break and stuff, because like I said, I've been doing it non-stop for coming up to 10 years, no break.
Yeah.
I've gone from club to club to club. I've never really had a break between them, apart from when I left Wellington. I probably had 2 weeks, but that was in pre-season anyway, so I didn't have anything before I went into Barking. But it is a way of life, and it's something that if you're not going to do it to your full capabilities, well, this is just my opinion, if I can't give it my all and give it everything, then I can't do it, because it demands so much of you that if you are half-hearted, you get found out. And that's especially the higher the level you go. If you're half-hearted, you'll get found out.
Yeah, no, even at grassroots level, I don't think I know you don't have, I suppose, parents. You've just got fans but our fans are our parents at grassroots.
Exactly that.
They certainly. I'm lucky. I coach Arthur's team, the under-10s, with 2 other dads, and we share the responsibilities as such. The under-17s sort of pretty much on my own, a little bit of support from others, but the admin side, the organising side is all sort of on my head. And I don't think parents realise, and I'm not alone, there's hundreds of thousands of coaches. Is it the same at your level? What are the responsibilities that maybe fans have got no idea of what you're in charge of? Like what things we don't really realise. We maybe might glam it up and think, oh yeah, they do training twice a week and they have a laugh and they do a bit of tactics and they do a Saturday.
I got asked the other day by someone, what do you think fans underestimate from a manager? And I said, everything. I said, you might think, yeah, they just do training on a Tuesday and a Thursday for a couple of hours. But it's the day or 2 days conversation in working out what to work on, what you're going to do, what sessions you're going to do. But even before you get to that point, it's the watching the game back from the weekend. It's the then watching the next opponent's games, whether that's in person or on like a recording. My normal week is I'd watch 2 or 3 of our next opponent's games, as well as watching ours back twice. So you've got to think that's 5 games I'm watching before I even make a decision what we're going to do on a Thursday night for training. So then when we've done that, I then ask, normally Marvin and Cal probably similar, maybe not as much because they're not as OCD as me in it all, and probably kind of wait for me on certain stuff. But it's a lot more. It's not a case of just turning up on a Thursday, me, Cal and Marvin going, right, what are we going to do then? or turning up to a match and going, "Oh, what's the team?" It's the whole week, and now the normal week is all. There's always something happening every day. There was something that we was either doing between us or that we'd be doing to get information into the players, whether that's a training session on a Thursday, then we name the team on a Friday with all the details, then the actual game on a Saturday. Sunday, like I said, I like to have off. Monday I'll be watching games, especially if we've got a game the Tuesday. I'll be trying to get in all them games, and then Wednesday again watching games, Thursday training, and then Friday it all starts again. So it's kind of a full-time job condensed down into your spare time, so to speak. So it's a lot, and then when you've got trying to put family life into that and everything else, and even work, because without all that you've got a full-time job to do at the same time. It's a lot, and what they don't understand is that, and especially what fans don't understand, and I never expect them to understand, because like I said earlier, all they want is a team that wins. So to them it's irrelevant what happens during the week, but when you've got players that are not well, or they're injured, or from work, and because you've got to think that's just me worrying about my life, but then I've got to manage 20 plus other adults and their lives. Some of them have got children, they've all got jobs, they've all got other commitments that they need to have and see to. So managing, like you said, sometimes I think running a kids team would be easier, because some of the players are they're just big kids and stuff like that. But the main thing for me is that you sometimes stuff happens you just can't count for or can't plan for. Like for example, this season, the amount of injuries that we've had to deal with and see within the squad to really important players, you can't plan for that. You can't plan for that, and unfortunately, at a club like Grays, you can't budget for it either. In terms of having a bigger squad, because the budget doesn't allow you to have a big enough squad to encounter them type of injuries. So everything really, you just, whatever you can think of normally goes wrong, and in case of this season did go wrong multiple times that we've just had to try and get on with.
Yeah, no. How do you deal with the pressure of and this is not necessarily Grays related, this is going to be in your past, how do you deal with that pressure of losing and bad results?
See, pressure, I don't really feel pressure, if that makes sense, because I put more pressure on myself than anyone could ever put on me. And I've got such high standards for what I deliver and conduct myself and so on. So pressure I don't really feel, because I'm putting tenfold on me than what other people are. The bit that always gets to me is and again, football's an opinion-based game. It always will be. It's why we love it, because someone might think Messi's the best in the world. Someone might think Ronaldo's the best in the world. That's why we love the game, the debate, the conversation. But sometimes it's just really educated waffle. And you're thinking, come on now. Like, really have a think before you say some of the stuff that you say and stuff like that. So for me, the pressure's nothing. I don't listen to any of that. But people within the group do, or did in the Grays situation. I wasn't in any of the groups. I took myself out of that, I think, after the first 2-3 months of being in the job. Come off that, even deleted Facebook off my phone, just because that was the only reason I was on it, was for that. And I thought, if I'm not there, I'll just delete it. Because some of the stuff on there was just, I'd love to have an actual conversation with the people that said some of the stuff, to see where they were coming from in certain situations, because I can guarantee you now that 95% of the people, or the time and the comments that were said, that if we were sat in this room having that conversation, they'd probably come out thinking, oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Or I didn't see it that way. Or I didn't, do you know what I mean? It's a case of, and I'd like to think, especially in the Grays situation, I'd like to think I was approachable enough. And you've seen me walking around the ground before a game and that, I was approachable enough that if people did want to know stuff, they could have come and asked me. And even now, when I'll be back to watch games, they can still come and ask me. I was always an open book, but it was a case of some of the stuff I felt, and some of the stuff that got passed on to me towards the end was I felt a bit personal towards me. There was a couple of personal agendas to me that I just had no time for. and so on. So just moved on from it and stuff. But pressure, I've never really felt pressure. It's just it's more frustration, because you think, yeah, come and walk a day in my shoes and then see if you've got the same opinion as you did before of how you do things. And I always say now that I don't really, I'll listen to any opinion. I really will listen to any opinion and take it for what it's worth. But unless you've actually been in my shoes or been in the game at a certain level, there's only so much validity it has, in my opinion, because you need to be able to understand it before you can judge it. And that comes with everything, in my opinion. I'm not going to come here and start judging your setup because I don't understand it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's the bollocks.
it looks it, but it could be all the gear, no idea. But I because I don't know it, I'm not going to come and judge it. And it's like if I walked into certain people's day jobs and started criticising them, but without actually knowing what they do, it just becomes completely ridiculous. So so it's probably more frustration that you'd like to just, for me, just have these people have a conversation with you. If they've really got that big of an issue or a problem, come and have a conversation, rather than try and write on social media outlets and stuff like that. Social media is the root of all evil. I can't stand it, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But it is the world we live in. And like I said at the start, when you take on a position at a club like Grays, with the history Grays has got, you've got a target on your back from day one, and you have to deliver. And the minute you don't deliver, you're gone. Simple as that. And that's the ruthlessness of football. And that's how football will always be, no matter what level you're at. It's a results business. And if you're not getting results, that's all fans care about. They don't care about anything else that goes on, and they have no right to care about anything else. All they care about is the result and watching a team on a Saturday. So if that product on the Saturday that they're watching isn't up to their standards, they have every right to say it, because they're paying their hard-earned money in the climate we're in, even harder-earned money to come and watch you and keep clubs like Grays going. So they're well entitled to do it. But I would always just say try and be more measured with what you're saying, because what you're saying can affect people. And I know full well this season has affected people, players. A couple of players went to leave because of comments online that we had to kind of wobble their head about, so they managed to stay. So people might think it's just a Facebook page, I can just write what I want on there. And it gets back to people, it gets fed to people, it gets portrayed in a way you may not have wanted it to be portrayed in to certain people. So I would always say that, it's fine having pressure and stuff like that, but it's got to be measured, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you've answered my next question anyway, because it was about social media, essentially, what the damages that does. But I'll alter that question slightly, because you've gone into, you've answered what I wanted to know, but really highlight the damages. So I've done it. I've probably done it for Grays. I've certainly done it for West Ham, and got on Facebook and had a moan about a performance and whatever. But when that's consistent, like, as a fan, what damage am I doing? I'm going to put me in the situation, because I don't want to accuse anybody. But what damage am I doing as a fan to something that I love?
It's a case of probably not that one comment in probably isolation. But if there's numerous comments, and let's have it right, that any team that doesn't win, you expect some, because you're giving yourself some as well. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone that puts on that shirt had a duty to the badge to give everything they've got. But there's been times I felt that there's been silly comments that you're thinking, you don't even mean that. And if we, like I said before, if we sat down and have a conversation about that comment, you probably go, I was only on the laugh. But when you're saying stuff, and some of it gets personal to certain people, it can have a big effect. And like I said there, I've had a player this year that called me saying, let's call it a day. Like, people, they clearly don't want me here anymore, so I'll go. So that's what it can do. You can drive people out of a football club. And I'll be honest, that one of the main reasons and we'll probably come on to it in a bit.
Yeah.
That I stepped down was because if I'm not appreciated somewhere, I won't be there. And that's what it got to with me. I felt like I wasn't appreciated anymore. So I went. So those comments and those feelings and those whatever you want to call them play a huge part. Because if someone doesn't feel appreciated, or a group of people don't feel wanted or something like that, they won't be there. So you could lose some really good people just from a comment that you might have thought was funny or something like that. So it's a case of everyone's entitled to opinion, and I'll always say that, because everyone is, and it's why we love the game, and especially if you're paying your hard-earned money to support the club and to keep the club going, basically, because it is owned by the fans. So you get every right to say what you want, but be a bit more measured in what you're saying and how you're saying it, because it does affect people, and mental health's real, and it's mentioned a lot, but it is real, especially within football, because within football it's a big thing where people and players especially probably think they can't talk about it, and they have this mentality that we talk about. You have to have this mentality of winning, this hard mentality of this, that and the other, when deep down, if you're getting told you're rubbish, you're not very good, after a while it's going to take its toll. And if you're not doing well, the last thing you want is to be kept being told you're not doing well. You know it yourself, and stuff like that. So it just, when you need confidence, you don't want to be seeing stuff like that, because it just makes it even worse. So if the team isn't doing well, and you see comments battering them left, right, and centre, it's only going to make it worse. Yeah. There's no positive outcome from it. And I've always said that negativity never breeds anything positive. So you can't expect a negative comment to get a positive reaction. It just doesn't happen. Whether it's a team talk, whether it's a conversation, whether it's just you talking to your mate, if you're both being negative, nothing positive is going to come from it. It's just going to end up in a row and a bust up. So for me, it's about trying to put a positive spin on everything, and that's what as managers you have to try and do. If times aren't great, you can't let the players feel it. You have to try and take it all and shoulder it all, and not let it get to them, and try and take as much of it yourself. And that's what we as a management team try to do.
That's really good, mate. Right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back out and we're going to get really into it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so we'll just go to the advert now.
Welcome to WVE Studios, a brand new purpose-built video, photo and podcast studio right here in Wickford, Essex. Our video studio is ideal for showreels, live streams and talking head videos, with state-of-the-art lighting and audio equipment that makes your content look and sound amazing. Need stunning images? Our photo studio is a flexible 3x3 metre blank canvas, perfect for headshots, portraits and more. And with changeable studio lighting, you can create just the right look for every shoot. Plus, we offer newborn, family, pet, business photo sheets, and so many others. We have a photo shoot session perfect for you. And for the podcasters, our custom-built podcast studio features 4 high-quality microphones, a large screen, and fully customizable lighting and sound effects. Perfect for audio or film sessions. Book your space today at wvstudios.co.uk.
Okay, mate, welcome back. So we're going to go in now. Mm-hmm. Recent departure from Grays. So I think it surprised some, may not surprise some others. Mm-hmm. But how did things really unfold from your perspective?
So when the statement went out and it said mutual agreement, probably for the first time ever in football, it actually was. And the reason I say that is because it kind of evolved from 2 different sides over the weekend. So from my perspective, that's all I can really talk about, is my perspective, is on Saturday morning, and this is where I referred to it earlier, that something happened where I realised I wasn't all in anymore, is when I got the phone call to say the game was on, it passed the pitch inspection. I had, for the first time ever in football, I've got to go football. And from that minute, I knew it was my last game. because, like I said before, I'm all or nothing, especially when it's my club. I can't be anything but 110% in. And the minute I'll ever have that thought, wherever I am, I'm out. Simple as that, because I'm all or nothing in that sense. So that was the first trigger in my head to think, something's gone on here. Something's not right. If I'm thinking that, because let's have it right, if I'm not enjoying it or driven to go and do it, especially in the situation we're in, I can't be there. Simple as that. Someone else has to do it that's ready to have that commitment and drive. And then when obviously we lost the game, still trying to work out how we lost the game with the amount of chances and stuff we had, and their goalkeepers made 2 of the best saves I've ever seen in football. But we could have won the game 8-0. That announcement still would have happened Monday morning, because it got to a point where I generally felt that the relationship between me and the most important people at the club, the fans, was kind of done. And by that I mean I feel we could have won 10 in a row and then lost the 11th and people would have been on my back. I generally felt that we were just kicking the can down the road until it happened, if that makes sense. I felt like it was one of those relationships that was done, but it was just waiting for someone to say it, if that makes sense. So it was that, and I just generally felt that it was, and I alluded to it in the little statement I put out on social media, that the two things, or the main thing I always go by is that if I'm not appreciated somewhere, I'm not going to be there. Especially in my situation now, where I've got a missus at home, 8 months pregnant, where she does appreciate me being around, and if anything, I probably should have been there more than I have been over the last 8 months. So to then have to leave her to go to a place where I'm getting pelters left, right and centre and not appreciated, it was just done. In my opinion, it was done. So in my opinion, that Saturday morning, I kind of was 80% out. But it was a case of then, after the game Saturday, I just knew it was done. I knew I was done. I hadn't spoke to Callum, I hadn't spoke to Marvin, I hadn't spoke to Lee, I hadn't spoke to anyone. But Callum knew. He then texted me, I think, the next day saying, "When you announcing it?" Or something along them lines. I can't remember exactly what he said. And I didn't reply to it. I thought I'd leave it. And then it was Monday morning, I spoke to Cal, and he was like, "Yeah, I knew it, like, you was done," sort of thing. I knew it'd come to an end. But it was funny though, because Monday morning I was just having this conversation with Callum, and I get a message from Lee saying, "Let him know when you're free for a call." And so I said to Cal, I said, "Oh, looks like other people have been talking as well." And so it comes about that there was a board meeting on the Sunday, I think it was, and they thought kind of the same thing. So when I say it was mutual, it generally was mutual, because I replied to Lee saying, "Oh, you beat me to it." And then on the phone he said, "I'll let you go first." And I just said, "I'm done." And he said, "Yeah, we've kind of had the same conversation." So for probably the first time ever in non-league football, a mutual agreement generally was a mutual agreement that it was time to call it a day.
Nice. How did that initial feeling feel, even though you're saying that you had that, like, you obviously have got up that morning, the game's on, you felt that way. How did that make you feel that the club you love, it's got to that point?
It was hard, because I generally feel like I've lost a bit of love for the club, if I'm honest. It will always be my club, always will be. But because, obviously, when you're in it, you see it differently. And you see certain aspects of it that you'd never see if you was just in the stand. So yeah, I have lost a bit of love for it, and that hurts, if I'm honest. That'll come back, no doubt about that. That will come back. That's just because it's still raw and stuff like that. That will come back. But the way certain things were handled over the last couple of months, with certain stuff that I know was happening behind the scenes that people thought I didn't know was happening, that's what has made me lose love for it. and some of the people involved. But yeah, the main bit was it was just a bit of a numb feeling, really. You know, when like, you don't really feel anything at the start. Like, don't get me wrong, on the Saturday morning it was a case of, right, sort yourself out, you got a game of football to go and win. And I generally felt we tried all we could to win that game. At one point we had 6 strikers on the pitch, we still couldn't score. But I felt we'd done everything we could to win that game. It just weren't going to happen that day. And but then the couple of days after, it was just I didn't really feel anything. And then I think it was probably the Monday afternoon, I had all of a sudden a feeling of real contentment that it was done. And probably, not sure if it was the right time. I think maybe I should have done it when I initially, and you know exactly when this was, had a thought about it. Probably should have done it then, maybe, but then when you look back, after that point, we lost one game. Before the Haybridge one, and we lost to Stanway, who were beating everyone at the time. January, we had a good January, 2 wins and a draw. But again, this comes back to what I say about it, which is kicking the can down the road. We'd had a decent January, a really good January, lose one game. And it's how reactive I feel football can be, is that if we'd have lost to Malden, people might not have done it. If we'd have lost 8-0 to Malden, people might not have had the same reaction as losing to Haybridge just because of where Haybridge were. It's that reactionary part of football that makes it so unpredictable and volatile at times. But yeah, the main feeling was, really content with it all. If anything, a weight off the shoulders. Because that week, obviously, Jordan Clark was then away on holiday and Alex Moss had just done his ankle. So we was without any centre halves, and the thought of having to try and get 2 new centre halves in ready for the weekend to go and play Waltham Abbey was one I thought, oh Jesus Christ, not again. So I've already had to do that 10 times previously in the season because of how it all went. So the thought of having to do that again was a real tough one. So it was really content with it all, really happy with it all. Left on good terms with Lee especially. He's by far one of the best chairmen I've ever worked with. Him and Lee Connolly, must be the name Lee and chairman. An unbelievable person, and one I'm really lucky to be able to call a friend. We've probably spoke more since I've left than when I was there, and that's saying something because we was on the phone to each other every day. A man I've got so much respect for, and will not have anyone say a bad word about him around me. So really content with it, really, going back to my saying, really happy it happened rather than being sad it's over. Something I can look back with and say that, I've succeeded in what I wanted to achieve in non-league football, and dust myself down, learn, spend some time with the family, and prepare to go again.
So I wanna just pick at something you referred to there. I think it was Felix away.
Mm-hmm. So when I said you knew exactly when I was talking about.
And because, and I'm not. Well, I am throwing you under here a little bit. I just accepted that you was what had happened. I think the game fell apart. I think we played well, and then it was just a case of we crumbled, and people can say fitness, people can say whatever they like. It just all fell to pieces at the end, and the score flattered them, but it made it slightly more a bit of pill to probably take.
Yeah.
And I remember Arthur coming out and goes, Darren won't talk to me. And I'm going to rewind. There was a game before that where we went to Lowestoft and we'd lost. And the same sort of gutting feeling again. Played well, fell apart. But I remember what the difference was, and this is how I knew there was something wrong. At Lowestoft, you looked at Cal and you said, look at Arthur's face. And you made a point of putting whatever you was feeling aside, and you made that effort. And I'm not saying you'd have done that with anyone, but you had that moment and that in you to
I remember that,
to go, this ain't about me, I'm going to cheat. Where you couldn't bring yourself to do that at Felixstowe. And I'm not digging you out for not doing that. I know, but what my point is I could see a difference. I could see, and in a way, maybe you don't have to share it with me, but sort of want to know what that thought process was, because I didn't see Darren as a manager sitting at the back. I saw my friend sitting at the back of a coach, just looking like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders and wanted to be everywhere ever than in that seat.
And I did, and it was a case of, it was a real kick in the bollocks, that Felixstowe game. Reason being, a week before we went to Malden and we were brilliant, and if anything, real fine margin stopped it from being a draw to losing the game 3-1, because at 2-1, I mean, Sassy's handballed it, and then from his control from handballing it in his box, so it's gone from that, they've then gone down the other end of the score, so it's gone from being our penalty to them going 3-1 up. So it's gone from a really good performance where we were superb against Malden, and everyone, I had so many messages afterwards from people I don't really know, saying how well the team played, how well drilled they were, how well coached they were. So then going to Felixstowe and not being able to recognise my team, I didn't know if I could pick them up from that. And that's what I was doing at the back of that coach. I was doubting myself more than anything, and thinking, have I got what it takes? Am I good enough to pick these boys up again? Because it happened so many times that year where we'd go and win 2, lose again. We could never go 3, 4, 5. It was always 1 and 2. And I always say the good teams go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like we did back into the season, 10. They're the good teams. Bang average teams go 3, 4, 5, whatever. And then, but the teams where you're going 1 draw, right, and it's so inconsistent, I put that on me. And I take it personally. Every time we lost, I took it personally. I took it as if I lost the game, not Grays Athletic. Just Darren Manning lost the game of football. So I was really soul searching, really, on that journey home to think, have I got what it takes to pick us up and go again? Have I got what it takes to pick the boys up and go again? Because they felt it as well. It was a kick in the bollocks, and it's probably one that I've had a really good record against Felixstowe as well, especially at their place. So we obviously went there the year before and won. So I've had a good record there, and I've so much respect for them as a football club, and I'm close with Jack and Stuart there that are doing an amazing job. So it's not a surprise that they beat us, and they've done it to many teams this year. But it was for the fact for me that, coming off the back of such a good performance, to then go and put one in where I didn't even recognise the team, of the characteristics that we built and the structure we put in, really, tested me to say, could I go again? Could I pick us up and go again? Am I the right person to do this? And I've always said, and I've had this conversation with Lee many times, if there's someone out there better than me to do it, let them have it. We're just custodians of this club. The club's going to go on. It's bigger than us. It's better than us. We're just here and privileged to sit in the positions we sit in for a limited number of amount of time. So it was a case of, am I still the right person to do this? And then over the next couple of days, it was yes, I am, and yes, I am the best person for the job. Yes, I am ready to go again. And then we did pick up form after that and showed a reaction. But yeah, that was probably the point. Looking back, probably should have called it a day there. Looking back, but the fact that it was my club and I worked so hard to get there, and like you said earlier, it's that letting go of being the manager of your club, something you've always dreamed of doing. That probably clouded my decision making at that moment. In hindsight, probably should have walked away then. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But I also didn't want to be a quitter and just because we lost a game of football walk away. That's not me. That never will be me. I wanted to fight and fight for the club I loved and the club I've always loved, and that's why I decided to carry on going.
Do you have a sense of unfinished business?
Yeah, massively. So much this season didn't go anywhere near what we wanted it to or planned to, from the 9 or 10 players leaving the back end of last season. The recruitment in the summer didn't go to plan. Didn't go anywhere near to plan in what we wanted to bring in. We had to go. Let's go away from what me and Callum have built a reputation for, in finding them unearthed gems that no one's heard of, and turning them into established players that can go and kick on to the other level. Like before me and Cal, no one knew the name Alejandro Machado. Now everyone in non-league knows who he is, and stuff like that, and people like Ken Deriri now, who's on at Canvey, and Alex Moss, Matas, all these players that have gone on to higher levels and stuff like that nobody knew much about until we've kind of given them that platform to shine. That's what we kind of built our reputation on, and we did it at Basildon with giving Kai Brown back the platform, and he went then on to get his move to Aveley, and now look what he's doing for Waltham Abbey and stuff like that. So it's one that even Sid Walker, I remember walking into Basildon, and there's this young kid that someone said he's got a bright future, and I said, yeah, but he needs to learn to pass the ball forward, and now he does that, and now he's got, in the summer he'll have his pick of every club he probably wants at step 3 if he can stop getting sent off and getting yellow cards, but nobody really knew his name. He just started to emerge on the scene, but we gave him the platform to really go and flourish, and we kind of went away from that. I wanted to go away from it a little bit and get a bit more experience in the building, but we went away from it too much. We kind of really pivoted and went the other way compared to where we was. And looking back, yeah, our hand was kind of forced to a degree because of what we was kind of left with as a squad. It was kind of gone.
Yeah, it was gutting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But you also think we have to look back with a real pride that we was able to put that group together and to allow them to go and kick on. Fortunate enough that a couple have come back this year in Elliot and Mossy, but yeah, we have to have real pride that we managed to do that as a club, not just us as a staff or group, but as a club we could give them the platform to go and play higher levels and really kick on. But yeah, the recruitment wasn't spot on. Where the previous season I knew we had an unbelievable squad, and it was only a matter of time for it to really kick on. But then, yeah, even pre-season was really disjointed because of the demographic of player that we signed. It was, I've got weddings, I've got family holiday, I've got this, that, and the other, and they've all got kids, and do you know what I mean? So it was very disjointed, and I don't think the whole of pre-season we managed to get our starting 11 out in a pre-season game, and for many different reasons. And then injuries, you got to think start of the season, no Jordan Clark for the first 2 months. Look how good he is in the last few months. He's, for me, probably the best, most crucial player in the division when he's fit and firing. And then you get the news that your club captain can't play football anymore for the rest of the season. It's just one after another of just kicks in the bollocks. And then Aaron Gordon's missed months of the season. Harry Hope's missed months of the season. These are all huge players that we kind of wanted to build the team around. And then it's just one of them ones, and then trying to recruit. And then you got to look now, and this really, really pains me to say it, but Grays isn't as attractive as it once was for a young player. Because when you're talking to an 18, 19-year-old and you start saying it's Grays Athletic, they're like, just a bang average Ishmael North team, yeah? They weren't even born when we was in the National South and the National League and stuff like that. So trying to and then when you say that we haven't got the biggest budget in the world, and then, where'd you play? I'll play at Tilbury. Okay. Yeah. Bowers are there. Yeah, it's not as attractive as it was. So then we had to be really smart with the recruitment of players that were either played for us before or played at the ground before or played for the club before. So it was really, really difficult, because nowadays every kid wants to play on a 3G. And when you get an offer to do that, you're going to go and take it. Michael Barrick's the prime example. Come to us for a couple of months, started to kick on, got an offer to go and play for Bowers on a 3G, jumped at it, and now he's scoring goals every week, playing unbelievable. So everyone wants to play on a 3G, everyone wants to play on a good surface, everyone wants to be paid well, and when you can't offer any of that, you struggle, and we got really, yeah, it was difficult, really difficult to go and get exactly what we wanted in the summer, and then even as the season evolved, it was difficult to bring in exactly what we wanted to. So that's why we dipped into the loan market when we did with Alfie Wellings, and then now you've got Ned and Jack that are there, and Manny. So we had to dip into the loan market to add a bit of depth, because when you're getting players that are injured every week, I think when I left, I think there's probably 24 players on the books, but only probably 15 of them were fit. When you've got that, it's so hard to juggle, and these are the bits that people don't see, don't understand, and then when you've got a way of playing, and I'll never forget this. I can still hear the shouts now when we were at Tilbury and the game's only just been passed for a pitch inspection, and I'm hearing people shout, "Get it on the floor." I'm thinking, if you can walk across that pitch without falling over, you've done well, and you want me to play like Pep Guardiola? But then as soon as we try doing that and get caught, you'll be screaming at me for why you're doing that on this pitch. So it's just little bits like that. It's frustrating, but in terms of unfinished business, yeah, definitely. This season couldn't have gone further from the plan if it tried. Difficult. Every week was a battle just to get a team on the pitch. Sometimes it was just a battle to get 16 names that were able to put a football boot on, let alone be fit to play. And I have to credit the group of players. There's not been a week where someone's not gone through the pain barrier for the club, and the group of players were I can't fault any of them. They gave us as much as they possibly could, which wasn't enough sometimes.
So, all positive.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the fans for the good times, the backing? What would your message be to those? Maybe the ones that supported you from start to finish.
Thank you. There's some days that will always live with me. That Malden day being one. For the after the game and stuff like that, it was special. And the one that will always live with me is Cambridge away. We lost the game, and the fans were there for probably about half hour after, singing and stuff like that. You can't buy. You can't buy sort of that sort of connection and feeling that you have with a group of people like that. So that was incredible. And then it's just Brentwood away last year was probably my favourite evening at a game of football. We were superb, and that was just the real start of showing them what this team could do. And we're just grateful for their backing, grateful for them getting us through some tough times with their singing and stuff, because they got the players through certain periods that they probably wouldn't have been able to get through if they weren't there. And and then my message is just always back the players, always back them, even if you're not happy with the manager or someone, still back the players. Because I noticed over the last couple of months it just got more and more quiet at games, and then the people weren't there afterwards when the players had turned to them and going to clap them. They weren't there, and the players felt that. They feel that if you're not there when they go to see you after a game, the players notice, and they feel it, and so I'd always say always back them, because there's not a single player that will ever go onto a football pitch not to try. Simple as that. There's no player in non-league football that steps on a football pitch to play badly or to not try. They're always trying, even if their levels aren't at the levels that you expect as a fan. They're still trying, and they're still trying to do all they can for the club. And especially during my time, I don't think you could ever say the team didn't graft or didn't fight. Sometimes the quality wasn't there. I'll take that on the chin, but I don't think you can ever say they didn't fight and give everything for the club. A couple of times, we might have capitulated a little bit, but as a whole, I'd like to think that they always tried and gave everything they possibly can, and always back the players, no matter what, even if they're not winning, not doing well. because they do give everything and they give up a lot of their time to represent the club, and go through different commitments and different hardships to be there and to try and give you a good Saturday afternoon.
So during that time, you've mentioned one already.
Mm-hmm.
Good friends with Lee.
Yeah.
Tell me about Sim.
Sim, to be fair, Sim, my relationship with Sim's not even football. I used to travel to away games with Sim, so Sim will always be in my phone book, no matter what, no matter where. He'll always be there. He's just one of life's good guys. The glue that kept the changing room together. Who else wants to do people's washing? You have to be a madman to enjoy.
But he don't do his own at home.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be a madman to do that, but he does it because he loves the football club, and that's why it was a pleasure standing in the dugout with him. And Cal, you got to think Cal supported the club from a young age as well. So when you think there's me, Cal, Sim, and Mitch, 4 local lads leading the club, it's special to recognise what we did manage to achieve, even though there was no titles or promotions or anything like that. But to take the club from where it was, although league position isn't great now, to where it is now in terms of the pay structure and how we managed to get all that in line and so on. I'm really proud of the journey we took it on, and we never put ourselves in a sticky position to just get a player over the line for the sake of it. It was always done with what's best for the club, and that's because you had people that actually care about the club in charge, people that have been lifelong fans, and local people that know what it means and what this football club means to people.
That's fair, mate. So what's next for you, mate?
A baby.
Whoa.
Yeah, so...
You think football management's stressful,
exactly,
mate?
yeah.
You're welcome to the parenthood.
I had sleepless nights with managing Grays, so I'm going to have plenty more of them. But no, just spending time with the missus and the little dog.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, mate. Spending some much earned time with them. And then just preparing for what's next. I will. I'm ready to go when the right project comes. It has to be right for me. It has to be right for my situation and my family situation and so on. But I am eager to get back in and offer what I feel I bring to the table to another club, because I feel I'm all right at what I do. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm amazing, but I feel I'm fairly good at what I do. And when the right opportunity comes, whenever that may be, I'll be looking forward to it. But yeah, apart from then, just do a bit of learning, bit of reflection, bit of tweaking on how we do things, how we operate. Going to go in, spend some time with some other managers and coaches to see how they operate. Try and pick up the odd learnings here and there to hopefully go back in a better version of me wherever I do end up.
Fair play, mate. So this one will be hard because you've got to do it in one sentence.
Okay.
Describe Grays Athletic.
A very special football club full of very special people.
Perfect. Well, what a way to think. But personally, thank you. Mm. Thank you for the good memories that you've certainly given Arthur and myself.
That photo I sent you sums it up.
Yeah, it does indeed. When we had to hold the information back from him because we was in Barcelona, so we had to let him get off his holiday, and we wouldn't tell him till we got home. So that's what you mean to him. And as a dad, and I know Lauren will back me on this, you've given him a new lease of confidence.
Good.
And you haven't just done that with Arthur. You're like that with every kid around that ground. And you should be extremely proud of what you achieved.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Totally chuffed to have you on here, mate.
Anytime, mate.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And you won't be a stranger.
No.
You won't get rid of us, mate.
Never, mate. Once you're a blue, you're always a blue.
No, exactly. So hopefully we'll see you around, laughing and joking again sometime soon.
100%.
Good luck with the baby. Send my love to your loved one.
Will do.
At least you don't. At least, well, we know your order, don't know, is it? But I know so we're going to still have takeaways on a Saturday when you've lost? Is it a burger and a kebab?
She still talks about that now. She always says, "Oh, I said it wrong. It's a burger or a kebab, not a burger and a kebab." But yeah, no, it's still always there, mate. And yeah, we'll be down to see a game soon. That's for sure.
No, Darren, thank you very much, mate.
Welcome,
Appreciate
it. Top man.